This is going to be a test of your powers of observation. There is an icon in this church of the Holy Family. Do you all know where it is? Some of you don't. Most of you don't. If you look over there, you see it on that wall. It's a very unusual icon. It comes from the great shrine in Poland, in the very old city of Kalisz. Kalisz is a very historic and even prehistoric city, and that particular icon is in the cathedral. It's very unusual. It's a miraculous icon of the Holy Family, as I said. It goes back to the early 17th century, and many miracles associated with it. But the miracle of 1945 is perhaps one of the most impressive. I'm going to tell you the story of that. Many people also don't know, but during the war, Hitler built a particular concentration camp for priests. Now, priests were in many concentration camps, but this one in particular, in Dachau, was the one that was singled out for priests. And as a matter of fact, Hitler joked that he had built the largest monastery in the world because there were tens of thousands of priests that were prisoners here, were tortured and murdered. So Dachau had all of these priests, many of them mostly from Poland. Interesting side note, Father Stanislaus Szczepiński, the seventh pastor of this parish, was a prisoner at Dachau, and he was, as a matter of fact, one of those that was involved in the living medical experiments that the Nazis performed on the prisoners there. They did terrible things in addition to everything else, and Father Szczepiński was one of those imprisoned in Dachau. And he was also involved in the miracle of the Holy Family of Kalisz. Here's the story. As the war was ending, the American forces in the early spring of 1945 were approaching the concentration camp at Dachau, and the Nazi authorities decided that they should murder the remaining prisoners in the camp to complete their plan to destroy the church, particularly the church in Poland, and also to eliminate any chance of witnesses to the perverse work that they had accomplished in that camp. They were not in a particular hurry because the Americans were at least 4 or 5 weeks away, and they had to cover a great deal of territory, and there were Nazi armies in the way. So they were confident that they could manage just fine. Only a miracle could save these remaining priests. They knew what was going to happen because, of course, in the camp, oftentimes word got around what was in the offing. And so the plan was that every one of them would be murdered quickly. Well, at that point, understanding their fate, the Polish priests made a novena and entrusted themselves to the protection of the Holy Family of Kalisz. And they made a promise that if they were rescued, if they were spared, they would all make a pilgrimage yearly to the shrine in Kalisz, to the shrine of the Holy Family. As the final order was given on April 29th, 1945, to have all the priests liquidated, miraculously and unexpectedly, the American soldiers arrived at the gates of Dachau. What should have taken 4 to 5 weeks took only a matter of a day or two, and they were able to get to the concentration camp, overpower the Nazis, and save the prisoners from certain death. From that day, every year on April 29th, these priests who are still living and are still able make a pilgrimage of thanksgiving to the shrine of the Holy Family in Kalisz. They come with their uniforms that they had to wear in the concentration camp, the striped pajamas, actually, striped prison uniforms. And they wear it now not as a matter of prisoners, but as a matter of victors, and victors in Jesus. And so they come to the church in great procession with these uniforms. Now today, the church celebrates the feast of the Holy Family, and we remember not only that miracle of Dachau and Kalish, but the fact that the Holy Family is a sign of peace and harmony that should exist in all families, but in particular and especially in the total family of mankind.